All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're calling in from. Aurum Foundation Partners worldwide, wherever again that you find yourself calling in from around the world. I just wanted to welcome everyone here. I'm honored that you've decided to join the Mastery Call. We're going to have a great call today, and make sure you get a pen and a piece of paper. We're going to be able to take some notes here to be able to share with your team around the world. And I know we're translating in several different languages. I'll try to slow it down a little bit to help our translators. But this is the Mastery Call. I'm also honored to have the privilege to be working with both the genius of Ahmed Zen, our Chief Marketing Officer, and Brian Benson, our CEO, and the entire corporate team at Aurum Foundation. And I want to start off this call just by saying that really and I don't know about you, but for me personally, it continues to amaze me at how much credibility is surrounding the Aurum Foundation, with the Forbes magazine not only writing once, but twice and talking about the future infrastructure of AI finance. That's when they're referring to Aurum. That's just amazing, in my opinion. And the fact that Forbes has now invited our CEO, Brian Benson, onto the crypto advisory. Entrepreneur magazine is writing about Aurum Foundation. And recently, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but we were featured in the top 10 crypto companies to invest in 2026. And all of the articles that are coming out about Aurum, it's just amazing. And with Brian Benson again speaking at some of the largest crypto events in the world, like the annual event that Ethereum just had, I believe it was in Argentina just about a month or so ago. Token 2049, of course. Blockchain Global. Brian was on the biggest stages in the world. And recently, he was invited to sit at an exclusive Satoshi Roundtable event. Again, this is an exclusive event for the handful of CEOs that you can't buy a ticket to go to this roundtable. You have to be. The credibility that surrounds Aurum is really, really impressive. Last week, I was also became aware that Brian was at the Consensus Hong Kong. I think he's still there in Hong Kong right now, but Consensus Hong Kong, another major event, and there's a lot more coming. And while Brian is at all these major events and we're getting all this publicity, really what we're doing is introducing the world to AI finance, right? And the Aurum Foundation. Well, what is the Aurum Foundation? Well, it's part of AI finance. Well, what's AI finance? We're going to get into a little bit about that today. But again, if we haven't already met, my name is Shane Morand, and I'm honored to be the Aurum's Chief Network Development Officer. And personally, when I found out about Aurum, the foundation and what was going on in the whole project, and learned about the compelling vision that we'll talk about in a second here, I'm going to bring up here in a second. I did about 3 months of due diligence, and I came to the conclusion, personally, I don't know about you, but I came to the conclusion that this is one of those rare opportunities that comes along every 10 or 15 years or so. And in my personal opinion, I think Aurum is positioned perfectly right now and has all the ingredients to become the first and a multi-billion-dollar giant in the AI finance sector. So let's start off this call really by making it clear that I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. That's not what I'm doing here. And the exact same way for you, that you're not a financial advisor for the majority. And when you're introducing someone to the Aurum Foundation, you're basically making a recommendation. And as an Aurum Foundation partner, our role is really to grow the partner network worldwide by introducing people to the platform and letting the platform and letting the products, letting the services, letting the ROI speak for themselves, right? Just like when you have a great meal, for example, at a restaurant. I love this example because if you go to a great restaurant and you have a great meal, you can't wait to tell your friends about that meal. Now, if you had a great experience at a restaurant and you're telling your friends about it, you don't need to become the chef. You don't need to know every ingredient that went into your meal and how they did it and what the timing was. You don't need any of that. All you're doing is you're pointing people to the restaurant, right? And that's what we're doing. If we have a good experience as a customer, we're simply pointing people to the information and let that information speak for itself. Let the results speak for itself, right? Now imagine, here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine when, for example, that, or if ever, that restaurant said, thank you so much for that referral, and as they go to pay their bill, you get a portion of that bill. And what if it got better even than that? What if they went on to tell their friends about the great restaurant, and then you also were rewarded for all of the money that was spent at that restaurant through your friends and their friends and their friends and their people that they know and their relatives and so on? Wouldn't that be pretty cool? Wouldn't that be amazing if that all of the revenue they collected from that referral or from your referrals went into a big pot and they started sharing it with the people that grew that restaurant, right? That's how it happens, but that's not what the restaurants do. Now, I certainly hope that that this example makes sense to you. And here today on the call, we're going to be talking about mastery. We're talking about mastery as it relates to the direct sales industry, as it relates to the network marketing industry. And this call really is for partners, right? It's not a call to introduce you to Aurum. There's plenty of calls all week long, every single day of the week in all kinds of different languages. There are calls that will introduce you to Aurum, that will go into more of the technical side, that will go into maybe the compensation plan. But this call here, what we're doing here is for Aurum partners. So if you're on this call right now, we assume that you're an Aurum partner. And whether you're just getting started or whether you've already grown a large organization during the pre-launch of Aurum, again, Aurum right now is just almost 1 month old officially. The partner network is about a month old. So if you're on this call right now, you can't imagine how early you are. You're amongst the first in the world to really be learning and growing the Aurum network. So again, whether you're a professional networker that you've got experience, or whether you're just getting started and you have zero experience, you've never done this before, this call is for you. This is what we're going to be using this time every single week to help grow the partners and help grow the network here all over the world. So again, it's not an introduction. I'm not talking about the comp plan or the amazing breakthrough in technologies that Brian Benson and his whole team has put together. Not here. That's not what we're doing. Again, we're going to focus on ways that together we can help Aurum reach its vision. So let's start off there. What is the vision of Aurum? And if you don't, what is the vision? Grab a pen, piece of paper, write this down. The vision is to create 1,000 millionaires who are not already millionaires right now. All right. I'll repeat that. Most of you have this memorized by now. If you're a partner, we're going to create 1,000 new millionaires. If you're not already a millionaire, that includes you, right? If you're already a millionaire, we're not talking to you guys, right? And there's already several millionaires within Aurum right now in this early stage here. And for you, congratulations, but maybe we're talking to your organization and people all over the world that have not reached that status just yet. Now, what's the mission? So the vision is very clear: 1,000 new millionaires who are not millionaires right now. And the mission, okay, we talked about the vision, but what's the mission is to identify who are those 1,000 volunteers, who want to become amongst the first in the world, again, through Aurum to become a millionaire, right? And I'm assuming that's you. And so this call is dedicated to helping with ways to help people that are not millionaires become millionaires through some of these strategies that we're going to be reviewing with you. So we want to create, really, as we go from week to week, a global unified concept that every partner around the world, no matter what the language is, can use these unified concepts to kind of bridge the gap, no matter what language we're speaking in, no matter what area of the world, that these concepts can apply to everybody, right? We don't want to leave anybody behind. So again, that's what we're talking about here. And if you're ready, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start off today, before we go to the presentation, is to answer 2 quick questions. I've been talking to Brian Benson. We're bouncing things around, and to help you again, if you have your pen and a piece of paper, this will be really good to write down. But there's two concepts that I want to go over with you before we start here. And the first one is the concept of when we're approaching new people, introducing Aurum, and we're just maybe we just met them, or maybe they're old friends that we haven't seen in a while, or we're just bumping into someone. We can start off by saying, and I'll talk to you as if you're the prospect or if you're the person. I would say something like, you know how most people are kind of sick and tired of watching their money sit still in the banks? Well, we know, there's no yield being paid out for many, many years now. When your money is sitting in the bank, there's no yield that's given back to you. And if there is, it's so small that the fees that the banks are charging every single month far outweigh any possible yield. But we know that as that money is sitting there, we know for sure the banks are profiting from that money. And the concept is that at Aurum Foundation, everyday people, anybody, right, can put their inactive money to work, earning daily passive returns safely and automatically over and over. So that's kind of the concept of the first way to introduce. Very, very quick. If you didn't get this, we're going to post this on our YouTube channel so you can go back and replay and listen to it and write it down and just try to memorize the concept of the fact that most people are kind of tired, right, of watching their money do nothing for them. Well, they know that the banks are profiting from that money that's sitting there. So inactive money the banks are using to create money over and over and over again. And really what's happening is the Aurum Foundation can really help everyday people. You don't have to be a multimillionaire to participate. Everyday people can participate in this new way, and having their money that they worked hard for earn daily passive returns safely and automatically. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And another question might be, for example, what is Aurum? What is Aurum? And I've heard Brian Benson say this over and over again, and I would really like to help everyone duplicate this. What is Aurum? Two words. It's AI finance. It's AI finance. All right. You can repeat this out loud if you're sitting here listening to my voice. What is Aurum? It's AI finance. And the next question might be, the next question might be, what the heck is AI finance? This is a term that really Brian Benson has created, and a whole blue ocean area that AI finance is not well known right now. That's why Forbes magazine, that's why all the magazines are writing about this AI finance. But what is it? And a nice way to really talk about AI finance would be this. Just imagine for a second. Well, first of all, do you know what AI is? If you're talking to someone, when they say, what's AI finance? Well, do you know what AI is? You've heard of Chat GPT, and there's a bunch of, most people say, yeah, I know what AI is. You can ask it a question and it comes out with some kind of intelligent, answers. Well, imagine that if now that you know what AI is, you just told me you know what AI is, and you know what finance is. Finance means money. It's money, right? And imagine if we can program the AI to take the money and get it working 24/7, 365 days a year, right? That's AI finance. That's basically what's happening. So I hope this makes sense to everyone. We're going to get started here with our mastery presentation. And let's see if I can get this technology to open up here. I'm not going to share it right away. Let me just go back in here, and we're going to load this presentation right here. Right here, it says Aurum, and here we go. If I can see it, and I can't even see it, maybe this is it. Let's see. I'm not sure if you can see it. Can you see that presentation? I'm not even sure if you can see it right now. Can you see the presentation? If you can see it, I need to know, maybe someone can contact me to make sure. I'm just going to stop for a second here. Everybody's chatting here, right? It says, let's just try this. It was visible. Okay, let's go here. Okay. All right. Can you see it now? Can you see the presentation? I think we're good. I think we're good. All right. So what we're talking about here is mastery in your network. You could be alone, just getting started right here and right now, all by yourself. And we really want to master the skill or ability to grow a network. If you've already got a small network building, wonderful. If you've already got some experience or don't have experience, that's not a problem. So that's our topic for today. And the mastery of what we're going to be talking about is the one skill that will change everything for you. The one skill that will actually change everything for you. What would that one skill be? We'll discuss that. And the first thing that I want to talk about is that success leaves clues. I've been studying success since I've been 19 years old. I was, really at the age of 19 years old, I had just started working my first job, and someone handed me the book called Think and Grow Rich. I've got a copy of it here. There's also a hard copy, Think and Grow Rich. And something resonated with me in that book, and I started reading it over and over, and then started applying the principles of success that Napoleon Hill laid out, and it's just changed the whole direction of my life. But the point is that success is not an accident. Why is it that some people are more successful than others? Right? Why is it that some people, have you ever asked that question? I did when I was 19 years old. Why is it that you can have two people, they live in the same city, maybe they were born on the same day, maybe they went to the same school, they had the same principal, they had the same weather, right? Same, but yet one of these two goes on to become a CEO of a very, very successful company, and the other doesn't have so much success. They have a hard time holding down a job even, right? What is that difference? And I went on a lifelong mission to try to read as many books as I could to try to figure out what are these differences. That might be a good area to study, right? I mean, people that want to go into law study legal, they study the law, or people want to, maybe study, get into medicine. They want to become a doctor. They're going to, maybe study medicine. And so there's all kinds of professions. My curiosity was success. And so I thought, like, I want to be more successful. So why not study success? And so many, many years I've studied, and I came to the conclusion that people who do reach high levels of success, it's not by accident. It's not because they're lucky. That's a total big lie. Hey, this person's so lucky, they're making so much money, or they have a beautiful relationship, or they're in great physical health, or whatever it is. They take all these vacations. It's not luck. And if we're just intelligent enough, and if we just use our minds a little bit and study people who have become successful, and if we just duplicate whatever it is that they're doing in any area of their life, if they have a great relationship, for example, and you want a great relationship, you need to study people that have a great relationship and try to figure out what they're doing that's causing this great relationship, and just copy that, because if you take the same or similar actions, you can produce similar results. Now, when we moved on in the last, I believe, 20, 25 years, I've been studying more fine-tuned in terms of success as it relates to direct sales, as it relates to network marketing. Why is it that some people in network marketing seem to go to the top of companies, and some people, they just quit? Right? But same company, same compensation plan, same marketing materials, same CEO of the company, the same, everything is the same, but one person has success. And I've been asking and studying, what is this? As it relates to network marketing, what is the key area? And let's have a little bit of fun here. And I want you to participate in whatever language, but what I did, I asked myself, I don't want the 17 or 32 or 27 or 57 steps that you need to become a success. I want one thing. What is the one thing in direct sales or in network marketing that if we can just focus on and master this one thing, that it would produce big results in our organizations and our skill and ability to grow an organization and so on? What would that one skill be? And if we have the chat, if we don't have the chat, don't worry. about it, but you want to make sure that you're participating. And I'll give you a couple seconds to write it down on a piece of paper. What do you think is the one skill that if you just had this one skill, that your chances of growing a large network increase? What would that one skill be in your opinion? And again, if we had the chat open, I can kind of read some of the answers, but at least participate because it'll help you just to see where you're starting and where you end up on this particular call. What would that one skill be? And I hope I've given you enough time to answer the question, what is that one skill for you, right? Or even think about it in your mind. What do you think that one skill is? And what I came to the conclusion after building, a company from zero investors, zero sales, zero customers, zero, to over $1 billion in combined sales within a 5-year period. That's called rapid growth, especially with an actual product. Okay. It wasn't a service. It was an actual physical product that had to be shipped and licensed and everything like that. Okay. And I came to the conclusion, based on all of the studies that I've done, that this is it. The one skill. What is it? The one skill that change. And if you get this, if you understand this concept, what I'm going to be talking about tonight, you will find it'll start to have an immediate impact on you. Now you can laser beam focus no matter who you are, whether you're just getting started or whether you already have a large organization. This is going to help you grow bigger, better, faster, stronger. And that one skill, here we go. We need a drum roll, is leadership. It's leadership. All right. The one word, the one skill that we're going to be talking about that changes everything is leadership. And when it comes to leadership and the direct sales industry, there are two things that you're looking to do. Number one, you either want to attract leadership to you. So imagine if you're able to attract leadership to you, you're going to grow a pretty large organization. Or you can develop leadership, and you can also grow a large organization. The challenge with attracting leadership, if you're just getting started, you may not have the success, your success method may not be developed enough to be able to attract a leader, right? And so there's a challenge. So, well, let's drop to the other one. What about developing leadership? Again, if you don't have a consistent method of operation, it's very, very difficult to develop leadership within your organization if you haven't developed leadership in yourself. All right. And so what I want to do is start on an even playing field all over the world on this very delicate and very important and the most important area that you need to focus on if you want to build a large organization. I'm assuming you're on this call because you want to build a large organization. And so if you're just getting started, it's kind of difficult to attract leadership because you don't have the track record of success. And again, if you have not developed a method of operation that you can teach your team, again, it's kind of even hard to develop leadership if you don't even have a personal track record or a method that you could use to duplicate, right? And that's what we were doing with the Zone 1 calls. You can go to YouTube if you haven't seen the Zone 1 calls, because that's really establishing a daily and a weekly method of operation that you can practice, and then you can teach. Now you're developing the leadership. And as you develop your leadership and you keep developing leadership, now it's easier to attract leadership because you've got a proven method of operation. So this is the concept that we really, really want to encourage. And I want to start off in leadership. Again, I want to talk to you as though you're just getting started and you have a big dream of growing a large organization. I know some of you already have large organizations or you're working, but everybody can build a bigger, better, faster, stronger organization. And the most important thing that you can do from day to day is to work hard on yourself. I want you to consider working harder on you than you do on your job. Work hard on your personal growth than you do on your job. And I'm going to share some stories with you tonight I think it'll blow your mind. But the number one tip The number one tip that I could give you, if you want to work on your leadership, if you want to develop, if you want to strengthen, if you want to become a bigger leader, is to read the book Think and Grow Rich. And why is that? Because it's the all-time best-selling business book in history. It's the all-time best business book in history. The only, in terms of business, and if you're here, it's because you want to develop your business. There's not a better book that you could read and master than Think and Grow Rich. It's going to develop your personal leadership. And once you develop your personal leadership, you can pass some of that on to your team. And now you're developing your network. And as you develop a network, right, as you develop, you share some of the strategies, you share your thinking. It's called Think and Grow Rich. When you develop your thinking, you're growing a larger organization, and all of a sudden now you start to attract leaders that you would have never otherwise been able to attract. And I want to talk today a little bit but so you can get this on YouTube. It's all free. You could get the book. Like I said, I have the soft cover book right here, and there's also the hard cover book. I would read it. It's in many, many languages, but you can also, instead of listening to the radio in the car or listen to music in the car, listen to maybe the words of wisdom of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and let those words have an impact on you. And also, as you're listening, start applying the strategies. Don't just listen or just read the book and don't do anything. That's crazy waste of time, right? So try to apply some of these principles in your daily life and watch what happens to the way you feel that will impact the people that you're talking to. That, again, now what are you doing? You're developing your leadership. And as you continue to develop leadership within your organization, you will start to attract, bigger, better, stronger leaders to your organization. And so this is an individual by the name of W. Clement Stone. Some of you may have heard of him. Some of you haven't heard of him, but I want to tell you a story. And I want you to, as I'm telling you this story, I want you to think about your network. I want you to think about whether, again, you're just getting started or whether you've already got a pretty good sized network, and think about, again, there's two types of people listening today. One type says, yeah, I've read the book. Yes, I've read the book, maybe once or twice or whatever, how many times. And the others are saying, I've never heard of Think and Grow Rich and I've never read the book, you see. But if you've read the book on a piece of paper, write down, if you could remember, what year was it that you read that book? For me, I read the book for the first time. I've read it hundreds of times, but for the first time, I read it in 1982. You can just calculate how many years ago was that, right? 1982, for the first time, a friend of mine handed me the book. I started reading it and everything changed in my life. Everything. And something resonated for me with that book. But the story that I want to share with you is the story of W. Clement Stone. This is him. He lived till the age of 100 years old. He died in the year 2000. And his story is that in 1937, the same year the book was published, he was walking down the street in Chicago. He looks into the bookstore and he sees this thing called Think and Grow Rich, and it stopped him in his tracks. At the time, he had an insurance company, and they had 800 representatives. Okay, his group was 800 representatives, but it had shrunk to 200. Times were tough, and that could happen in networking. For those that have experience, that can happen. You've got a larger group, and then that group shrinks. Sometimes it happens for whatever reasons. But his organization went from 800 to 200. And then all of a sudden he sees this book called Think and Grow Rich. He stops, he goes into the bookstore, he starts reading a couple pages. He bought the book. He went home and started reading it and reading it and reading it. And then what he did, this is where the story gets really interesting. He went to his representatives that worked for him. He's the boss. He's the CEO. Like you're the CEO of your company. Right? You're the CEO of your own company. Everybody's the CEO of you, Inc. You're building, yes, you might be building Aurum, but it's your business. It's your network that you're building bigger, better, faster, stronger. So in his network, and of which he was really the CEO, W. Clement Stone, with an insurance company. He went and he told his representatives, if you want to stay here with this company, you must read the book. And so he brought all of his representatives in every day, a half an hour before they were supposed to start, and they spent a half an hour every day reading a part of the book, every day, every single day. And what happened, and his story is that 3 years later, he became the first company of its kind to hit $1 billion in sales. Did you hear me? When I heard that story in my previous network, I started recommending the book Think and Grow Rich. Now, we couldn't make it mandatory. I wish I could, but we highly recommended everybody read the book. Together, everybody read the book and start applying the strategies And sure enough, 3 years after that we had people starting to read the book, we created over $1 billion, not in a year, but over the total of 5 years. But it was it took us 3 years once we got this success method of operation of helping people think, because the product is easy. You see, once you get into Aurum and how simple that this is, AI finance, really to explain it to someone, it's not that complicated. Once we break it down, that's going to be the easy part. The hard part is what's happening in your mind. The hard part is your inner world in terms of, are you ready for success? Are you pushing success away? And so on. So this is where the story gets kind of crazy, is that as he was reading this book, for some reason, remember back in 1937, there was no TV. There was maybe radio, but I'm not really quite sure. But there was no such thing as TV in the news. There was definitely no internet. Okay, you can imagine, right? There was no internet. So communication was a little difficult. But in his mind, he thought that Napoleon Hill had died. So W. Clement Stone becomes a billionaire, right? Becomes very, very, very wealthy with his. And he attributed it to the fact that he made everybody read the book. And so he got everybody thinking right. And then they applied their success strategies on how to move their insurance product and so on. And they grew this massive, massive, first of a kind in history to do this. And so he, again, every day he was attributing this success, this massive success, to the book Think and Grow Rich. And then many years later, I'm talking many years later, someone says to him, hey, are you going to the dentist convention? And Clement Stone says, well, what do you mean, the dentist? Why would I go to a dentist convention? Like, I'm in the insurance business. What are you talking about? He goes, well, Napoleon Hill's going to be speaking, and we thought you might want to go and hear him speak. He goes, what do you mean? He's dead. Like, Napoleon Hill's dead. What are you talking about? Nobody told him he was dead, but Clement Stone assumed that Napoleon Hill had died. And they said, no, well, that's going to be a good magic trick, but he's speaking at the dentist convention. You should go and hear him. So Clement Stone buys the whole head table. He buys the whole head table, and it's only him and Napoleon Hill sitting at this table. And they started talking. He said, thank you so much. I'll be forever grateful. Da, 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 da. And Clement Stone says, I got an idea. He says, you're going to start a company to remember, Napoleon Hill was a teacher. He was not wealthy. He was struggling. And the reason why he was doing these speeches is because he was trying to make money, right? Clement Stone was an entrepreneur. Clement Stone applied the Think and Grow Rich philosophies, and he was the entrepreneur. And Napoleon Hill was the teacher. And he says, you're going to start a company. You're going to come to all of my offices all over the United States of America. And you're going to come to this office. You're going to teach the principles of Think and Grow Rich. And then you're going to go here, and we're going to start a company, da, 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 da. And Napoleon Hill says, I'll agree to do it under one condition. And Clement Stone said, well, what's your condition? He says, you got to be my manager, because I'm a teacher. I'm not really an entrepreneur. And if we can maybe have a collaboration where we can help each other, it would be great. And they did form this historic collaboration between Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone that just blew the doors off of Think and Grow Rich. Again, 100 million copies of the book were sold. It's the all-time best-selling business book. I cannot speak high enough about it. And if you haven't already read it, I highly recommend that you read that book. But just imagine that if you had a success method with your organization, even if you've only got one person in your organization, where you start encouraging each other to do something that's going to help the person with their mindset, with their leadership, with their skills, with their ability to understand that they need a definiteness of purpose. We need to create a mastermind. You need to go the extra mile, especially in the direct sales industry. All of these principles can apply directly to the direct sales industry. So I'm going to just focus right now on leadership. And again, if you have a pen and a piece of paper, you want to write these 3 rules down. And if you get this right, I mean, everything changes. And here we go. There's only 3 rules. If you want to take a shortcut, you can spend many, many, many years studying leadership and keep on studying. There's no shortage of information about leadership. There's many, many books written. There's many, many courses that you can take. But I've kind of narrowed leadership down into a very, very tight window. I like things like direct and to the point. Like if you're talking about network marketing, if you're talking about direct sales, like I said, in my opinion, leadership is the number one most important topic that we can talk about if you're trying to build a large organization, if you're trying to grow a large organization, if you're trying to grow a global organization. You need to work on your leadership. And once you've got that method, now you want to share that information with your organization and encouraging them to stop listening to the radio, to stop listening to music that's a waste of time, to stop watching movies on TV that's a waste of time, to start focusing on their own development of leadership. And the bigger the leader you become, the more money you're going to make. That's just the way it works, right? The biggest leaders make the most amount of money. That's just the way it works. So we want to zone in on there, but I also want to keep it so simple that when you hear the 3 rules, you can say, I think I can do that. I think I can work on these 3 rules. I think I can master these 3 rules. And for those of you, again, I don't care what your background is, how much money you have in the bank, how old you are. None of that matters. If you can master these 3 rules that I'm going to share with you, that's why I want you to write it down. Write these 3 rules down and start practicing immediately these 3 rules and watch what happens to how you feel about yourself, and how your belief in yourself starts going up. Many, many, many people, again, I've traveled all over the world, over 55 countries all over the world, and there is a pandemic happening in the world, but it's not what you think. The pandemic that I see is low self-confidence, low self-esteem, low self-worth. That's the real pandemic, right? Low self-esteem, low self-confidence. And the bottom line is that we can have the best and easiest, simplest system, but if you don't believe in yourself, because you've never been told, you've never been taught, you don't teach this in schools, right? They don't teach the 3 rules of leadership in schools, unfortunately. But if you don't believe in you, who is going to believe in you? If you don't even believe in you, who's going to believe in you? And so we need to find ways to make sure that you can believe in yourself. Bigger, better, faster, stronger. And so when you believe in yourself and you show up to introduce Aurum to someone, to introduce your concept, to introduce your enthusiasm, right? That the person that you're talking to is going to believe. They may not understand what you just said to them, but they're going to believe in you, okay? And if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to do it for you? Nobody. Not me, not Ahmed Zen, not Brian Benson. This is something we cannot do for you. We cannot believe, we can give you a hand and say, look, we believe in you. That's true. We believe in you, but we can't make that belief grow within you. You got to do that work. You've got to do the work, right? And so I'm excited about this topic, but here are the 3 rules. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. Let's go to rule number 1. Rule number 1, if you want to develop your leadership, just do what you say you're going to do. If you speak the words, you got to do it. Okay? Very easy. Who could do this? Everybody. If you're speaking, I'm going to do this. I promise I'm going to do this, whatever that is, you got to do it, right? You got to just do what you say you're going to do. And even if it hurts, so many times that I have said this. I know I know Ahmed personally. I know that they are exactly living examples of if they say they're going to do it, they're doing it. Even if it hurts. What does that mean? Even if they're not feeling well, they're going to show up because they said they were going to be there and they show up. And I know for a fact Brian Benson has gone even when it hurt because he said he was going to do it, wasn't feeling well or whatever the reason was, but he still did it anyway. That's called rule number one. When you say you're going to do something, you get it done, right? And so, you hear this all the time. I'm going to go enroll 10 new people before the end of the day. Like, really? Really? And it teaches really, if you have this rule in your mind, it teaches you to be responsible with what you're saying to your team, with what the promises that you're going to make to potential prospects and so on. You want to be thinking carefully because if you're following rule number one, and if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, even if it hurts. Hope this makes sense. Rule number two is we got to like each other. This is so simple, but we got to like each other. Like, stop doing business and attracting people that you know that you don't like them, but you're going to invite them into your business. That's crazy stuff. And that what? Because you're going to make a little bit of extra money? You're violating a rule that, do business with people you like. If you run into someone that's really sharp, whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's at wherever you're traveling around and you meet someone, say, man, that person's a nice person or a good, sharp person. I like that person, right? That's the kind of person you want to invite. And you all know that maybe you've invited some people and say, oh my God, I wish I wouldn't have invited them. I can't handle it anymore, right? And it causes you more stress. But, so rule number two, you want to focus on working with people that you like, that you have something in common with, that you wouldn't mind traveling all over the world with these kind of people, right? So that's a simple one. I hope you've written it down. Very easy, very simple. And finally, you got rule number two. Let's go to rule number three. Got to have some fun. You got to have some fun, right? Business is business is business. But, at the end of the day, you want to have some fun. I encourage you to come to an Aurum event. I mean, I saw some fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun at the Aurum, the actual liftoff convention. It was amazing. And again, there's always time. Aurum always makes time for fun because they understand this principle, right? They understand the principle of you got to have fun. Yes, we're doing business. Yes, we're doing big business. Yes, all of that. But we got to have some fun. Life is supposed to be fun, ladies and gentlemen. No matter what language, no matter where you are in the world, life is supposed to be fun. That's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to smile, right? So we want to combine these three. And let's take a look at this. And let's just watch what happens here. So we talked about rule number one is you're going to say what whatever you say, you speak the words that you're going to do something, you get it done, even if it hurts. Rule number one. Rule number two is we got to like each other and don't do business. If you don't like the person, don't tell them about Aurum. Let someone else, introduce them to Aurum, and we got to have some fun together. We want to have some fun. That's the simplicity and you keep on focusing on these three rules and watch what happens to your personal leadership. You be the person that people talk about you and they say, you know what, if that Joe guy, if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it, right? You want to become that person that is known that if you say it, you're going to do it. Okay, hope this is making sense. Now let's watch this. Listen very carefully. Let's suppose, for example, that let's say it's me. Let's say, hey, I'm going to come on and I'm going to help you do a presentation, and I'm going to do it on whatever time, and we agree, and you're going to bring your team on and we're going to have a chat, and I say I'm going to do it, but then I don't show up. I don't do what I say I'm going to do. This has happened to anybody before, right? When someone doesn't do what they say they're going to do and you have everything ready and they're not there, it's like the first time it happens, you might say, well, maybe this happened, maybe they got sick, maybe whatever, maybe, right? But if they consistently say something and they don't do what they say they're going to do, what happens is trust is broken. The trust is broken. And if you break the trust consistently, how much you're going to like each other now, right? How much you, if you don't trust the person, how much you're going to like each other? Not probably very much, right? And if you don't like each other very much, how much fun are you going to have? Probably not a lot of fun with people that are consistently violating rule number one. So the bottom line, if you really want to grow your personal development, your personal leadership skills as you're growing your network, never violate rule number one. That's all you got to do. Whatever you say that you're going to do, you get it done, even if it hurts. Okay. And I can give you example after example after example of times in my own personal life where I was not really feeling well, but I said I was going to be in a particular city, and I got on a plane and I got to that city. I did the event, got back on a plane and came back home, right? There's so many, and that one hurt, right? There's so many things that could happen in your life, but if you say you're going to do something, do it. Focus on rule number one and watch what happens to your leadership. Just that simple, over and over. And I hope this has been beneficial to you. This is the one skill. I'm asking you, if you want to grow if you want to continue to grow your network bigger, better, faster, and stronger, focus on leadership. And the fastest way that I know how to grow leadership is just by a simple, you can order it on Amazon. You can get the audio tape. You can get the YouTube all over the place. YouTube. You can get the whole series, download it onto your phone, listen to it in your car over and over. Start applying the principles and start developing your leadership from inside out. And with that, I hope this makes sense. I hope that this session has really helped you. And I think I'm going to leave you today with this thing we're working on. I'm so fired up about this. It's just absolutely amazing. And that is the Aurum flow. I know we talked about this before. We talked about this, that Brian Benson and the team are working on very, very hard in the background. And it's called Aurum Flow. And what it is, it's an automated, it's an AI, of course, AI, and it's going to start using your WhatsApp first, and then Telegram, and it's going to combine Instagram, and it's going to help handle the way that you are able to stay in zone one, which means, what is zone one? Again, it's on YouTube. You can go listen to it. But basically, it's when you're exposing people, when you're following up with people you exposed, and when you help people get started. That's where you make all your money, right? If you can combine zone one with do what you say you're going to do, baby. Work on your leadership every day. Work harder on yourself than you work on your job. You're just going to grow your network bigger, better, faster, stronger, and it's going to absolutely astound you. And so with that, I'm going to share this video, and we'll see you right here on the call next week. All right? Bye for now.
Every modern business is built on conversations, messages across WhatsApp, Instagram, and Telegram happening all day, every day. But when communication becomes manual, growth slows, responses get delayed, follow-ups fall through, and opportunities disappear in the noise. Demand isn't the problem here. Scalability is. That's why we built Aurum Flow. Aurum Flow is Aurum's proprietary agentic AI system designed to grow, manage, and convert your community across WhatsApp, Telegram, and Instagram, all from a single command layer. Instead of juggling conversations across platforms, Aurum Flow uses AI agents to handle messages, answer questions, provide information, and automate replies instantly and consistently. Every interaction is captured, every prospect is organized, and every conversation is structured inside a simple visual CRM. Setup is fast and intuitive. Connect your messaging platform, define your flows, and Aurum Flow immediately begins organizing communication across your entire community. Messages move back and forth in real time. The system understands intent, it follows up automatically, and escalates to a human only when needed. Aurum Flow operates across languages, regions, and time zones, delivering consistent communication at global scale without manual bottlenecks. By removing the manual layer, Aurum Flow turns everyday messaging into an intelligent, scalable engine for outreach, follow-ups, and closing. This is how communities scale without losing structure. This is how communication becomes growth. Aurum Flow is launching soon, built to integrate seamlessly and designed to grow with you. This is Aurum Flow.
All right, everyone. Have a good evening or a good morning or a good rest of the day, wherever you're calling in from. We'll see you right here next week on the Zone 1 Mastery Call. Bye for now.